Alright, so it's been a while since I've been under here, but I finally got that together. Wound up having to pull this thing up on all the way up on the patio so it would sit level instead of having the back wheels off in the grass to try to save space. I drug it up here and got that slid together in like 10-15 minutes. And now I've got the jack position, just holding the tail end of it up to keep the stress off of it. I only lack 2 bolts over here on this side getting it in, and I might just forget all about them, who knows. Some of you may or may not have watched my earlier video a year and a half or 2 years ago, something like that, where I thoroughly torched the transmission in this thing. I was so mad I couldn't even film what was going on.
So we're definitely going down the road in a bus. On a Land Rover. Well, I made a major mistake on my trip here. Nothing wrong with the bus, it's running good. Instead of that, the gauges for the blame sun glaring off up. Started seeing a bunch of smoke pouring out behind me. Well, left from the bus, from the Land Rover. Let me tell you what, don't put one in low range when you go to tow it. That's not going to help it, I promise you that. It was just pouring trans fluid out from under it. I'm wore out, I worked all night, a 10-hour shift last night. Spent a couple hours dealing with this. I put the thing in low range instead of neutral, the transfer case I mean.
I was also on the side of the interstate just trying to deal with it, but anyway, I flat towed this thing home, and instead of being a smart man and put it in neutral, I was a complete moron and pushed that shifter all the way up into low range and flat towed that thing. I don't know, it was 30 miles or so before it gave up, before I knew anything was wrong. And that was far too late. There was fluid erupting from underneath this thing, just spraying. I got the rest of this stuff to connect up here before I can move forward. So I'm going to work on hooking up the shift cable here to the transmission. Guess I'm just going to take that bracket off, just mount that on there, and then connect the wiring. There's a couple other places I got to hook up to on here, and should get this together pretty quick. I gotta put the drum back on it back here for the brake, so I can hook the rear drive shaft up. I think cross members, front drive shaft. Oh yeah, and I still gotta put bolts in this torque converter, so that's gonna be a royal nightmare. But this one's coming along. So like I said, I pulled it up here on all the way up on the concrete and aired up the front tires, just up to 40 or 50 pounds. So I'm working on getting it back together now, and the day is April 26th of 2023. I pretty much should have had this done about a year and a half ago, but I got frustrated trying to get that transmission lined up with the locator pins on there, and I just said forget it, gas is too expensive. Well, I need to get this moved, so I'm gonna make it do it under its own power. So from earlier, I already had this console here out, and I thought at first I was gonna have to go after these wires down here in that mess, but actually the wires for the transmission and transfer case are actually easy to get to, so at least this part ain't hard at all. So you got 3 white clips and a black one, or 3 connectors done clip. That one would have been the hardest one. You know, like, I can't even remember what I did. I think I pushed that sideways or something. Oh wait, no. That one had a button to push down on. The white ones are incredibly easy. Let me see if I can plug up one real quick, so we can break the pins off the main harness or something like that when I do it. And so this got to happen to cost me more money. So anyway, it'll be like that right there. These are really easy. Just push that little tab right there. And just pull out. And just jam all those wires down in there, because they're all going to come out the bottom. I have to do it one at a time, but I'm not going to waste your time. Now thinking back on it, you know, that probably would have been easier to just took that out when pulling the transmission out than trying to unclip all that crap off the transmission. So if you're going to remove one, I would just advise you to unplug the main harness. Likely that grommet's been pulled out anyway, like mine was, so you're still going to have to deal with sticking it back in there anyway, most likely. So it's cold and windy today, and it's May 1st. Summer's supposed to start happening sometime. So right there's the main harness. There's the part that just unhooked from the top. And then, in case I did not show you, I don't remember, and I haven't edited the video yet, but that's what happened to the plug on this thing. It got cooked. Cooked. And then I don't know if I'm going to get the video of it or not, but I gotta have both hands to do it. So I gotta reach up in here and unhook this shifter cable thing, and I gotta figure out what to do. I think there's a button to and a shoulder pop. It felt pretty good actually. And got this connectors here. Well, they're on there good. That one's not. And get this harness out. I gotta go over on the transfer case side and unhook all that gibberish. Here we go. So I wound up ordering a new harness, or a new used one, off of the eBay. Here's that plug that I've got under there that's melted all to crap. So I never did bother trying the plug that's on there, even though it did plug in there. I'm not sure what I videoed, I forget. There's a lot going on right now, but on the top side of the passenger side of the transfer case over here, we'll have some connectors to deal with. This is the unlock solenoid, so you can put the thing in 4-wheel-low. Can't remember what this is, and I don't remember what the rest of them do, but oh wait, yeah, that actually connects right there with that, like that. So there's 3 plugs, and looks like they're all the same, got the same kind of clips on the top of them. Before I do the hard part, I could take this donor harness and bring it over here and plug it in and ensure it actually works. And that's probably a smart thing. Okay, there's that one. As of May 1st, which is today, I've got the transmission, except for 2 top bolts, bolted all the way up, snug to the engine finally. I got to take the harness back out and replace it with that one. Else that would have been done too, but that's about it. I sort of hooked up a transmission cooler. May have to get some different hoses and adapt to another size, because this was really a loose fit. Anyway, I got this 11/32 line on. I'm not sure. But anyway, it runs down there. And it's gonna. There's the other end of it laying there with a glove wrapped around it to keep anything from getting in it. While I was looking for O-rings that go on them. Now that I just said that, I can't even remember where I laid those plain things. I hope they're in my pants pocket still. Bad about keeping stuff together. Wonder ever get anything done. Around here you can see I need to put I gotta put that brake drum on there. Get the flange and rear drive shaft, cross members, and first I gotta get up in there and get them stupid torque converter bolts. And that process tries any man's patience. This is the most stupidest thing I've ever tried to get bolts in or out of. You got a small inspection port up here. Small inspection port. But I haven't been able to find the bolts yet to stick the first one in the converter, and I wasted an hour or 3 on it already. So today I'm going to get this installed. Alright, so let me show you how I line up my torque converter bolts. I'm going to try to position this so you can't see. I can't tell what I'm looking at in the camera. You can hardly tell what I'm looking at from up here, or whatever. Down here. Okay. So for the torque converter bolts, you've got 4 of them. You need to take you a little bit of super glue and super glue the bolt to the socket, because if you drop that down in there, then you're likely going to have to pull the transmission back just to recover 1 bolt. So let's not do that. Got a socket wrench on the crank bolt, and this is how that plug, you're looking at that plug there on the front side of the bell housing thing. So here we go, turning the motor slowly but surely, and here comes another hole, I think. Oh yeah, I see it, I see it. Okay, it doesn't look like you can see it on the camera too well though, but see it now? I'm not going to video me putting that bolt in, but I've already got 2 in. I'm on number 3. Here, I got 1 more bolt together, and I'll show you how it does go, in case we missed it. Right there's the bolt. We gotta rotate it around until we find another bolt hole. Socket. Back in business, let me get a look. There it is. Here's the last one. Hopefully. No, it's only got 4. Right there it is. That's what you're trying to fish through. I don't think now, looking at it, I'm not sure the starter'd really help you taking that out. So right there's that hole. Right there's the starter. And right there's where the front drum shaft goes, for reference. And that's exactly how you're going to try to get your bolts to go in. Cat's meowing at her kittens. Alright, I'm going to need my other hand to hold this. I cut this bolt shorter so it wouldn't match them other ones, and I'm afraid that I might have caused it not to want to go in. But anyway, you'll need to use a socket wrench extension like I did, and you can figure it out. That inspection plate there, that pretty much just to rotate the converter and dump fluid out of it. You can't actually perform anything else from that hole. Here's the old transmission. I need the pan off of it. Shoot. Definitely got hot up in there. Oh, that stinks so horrible. I'm surprised these wires aren't, the plastic on the wires aren't melted. But you can see there that connector melted. This one over here has too. Look at that. And I can't remember what all was here, but that's welded on there too. So we're going to be getting that apart here sometime. See how bad the carnage truly was. But anyway, the pan's not beat up on it like it is on the one that came from the junkyard and shipped to me. So I'm going to clean this pan up and put a new filter on the transmission. Okay, so here's what's in the bottom of the pan, if you're curious. Some kind of hard material. There's some wiring. Just straight nasty in there. I didn't really this thing going forward at all in the outside. The way it was parked at. I didn't really that it could do that. This must be the magnet I got a hold of right here though. This whatever it is definitely magnetized. So I'm gonna go clean that out. Alright, so let's pull the valve bodies off here and see what it looks like in this transmission I torched. This thing stinks. It smells like burnt clutch material.
That looks like it's gotten hot.
Some remnants, some kind of plastic that was on there. So I get this kit and, well, never mind, it's not coming up here. So, there's the other valve body. Wow, that stinks. Give me a second. I'll get
Oh, no.
all kinds of remnants of plastic and clutch material.
It's not in the combustion palace.
There's some more melted bits. Illinois said they got a little toasty there. They melted all the plastic off them. I don't guess I can stick that on eBay and resell it or anything. Let's see, guys. You can see one of the drums from one of the gear sets. Some more melted plastic. I'm surprised it didn't melt the plastic for that connector there, because it sure didn't melt it on the external one. And then, like, when you go to put it in drive, this is what you're pushing on. Probably not usually that tough, but that's what the gear shift causes it to click into gears. So it pushes back into there somewhere to control the machine. Then you got, man, that looks like metal plugging a port there. Trying to see if I could see anything else remarkable. If you could smell this, it's bad. This is the worst transmission stank I've ever smelled. And what's funnier is this thing drove itself from there in the yard and made it to the patio there. I don't know what part I want to do next. So I pulled the front pump off. These roller bearings actually looked alright, but this didn't look alright. This drum has been ate up. Clutch is gone. Clutch is melted. I don't know if I can get that apart or not. That'll be in another video, not for today. But well, there. Now I got me some new teeth, so I don't have to be toothless. I'll just JB weld those suckers in there. Now I look blame purty. I'm not sure if there's a snap ring that's holding this dude in. We can get that apart. I'm not going to spend forever on it, but this is my first Land Rover transmission I took apart, so I'll share with y'all my findings. Alright, so if you'll remember, this plastic piece was stuck on the transmission oil or transmission fluid filter, and I said it must be wiring or something like that. Well, what it was this, the fluid pickup tube. So I had to pay $28 to get this on eBay. It's also the same seller I got the wiring harness from, and I appreciate it. At least they sold good items and all that. It's definitely all nice and clean. Really clean for something that's been in a transmission. So from another seller, I got another filter just so I could get these two little seals. And I got a pan seal again. I'm going to clean up the bottom of my transmission valve body because some dirt got on it from sitting for a couple of days with no pan on it. That was smart, wasn't it? But I'm going to get that cleaned up. And I'll video putting the pan together on there with the pickup tube and all that good stuff. The deal with these O-rings is the smaller one's going to go there to seal it to the pickup tube. Because the pickup tube goes on there about like that. So the plastic goes over top of the transmission fluid filter with this O-ring in between them. And on the other side that goes on to the valve body itself for the transmission to suck fluid from, you got the larger ring right there, and it's going to go around that orifice right there when you go to put that together. So your inlet O-ring is going to sit on there like that. Make sure not to get it twisted or any of that kind of stuff. Pinched. So you can do this with it in the transmission already if you want to put that in there and put two bolts in to hold them together. But you're going to put that pickup tube on there, and you're going to have to push down, so, or up. But you got a bolt that goes through there like that, and then there's two shorter bolts that goes on the on the edge of the filter there, just those two. So you got 3 bolts in all to put this filter on. And that's how that other O-ring goes. Now let's try and get it up there on the transmission. So let's get a filter pickup tube installed. So you're going to have one longer bolt, which goes in the middle of the pan, and 2 shorter bolts. Oh, I got a kitten too. If you line up the center pan bolt, it makes it pretty easy. I actually have an extra one in here because my pickup tube came with a bolt for it too. It was mighty kind of him in case I would have lost that.
You'll use it for something.
It's that little girl kitten, the striped one.
Peanut butter.
Yeah. Alright, I gotta just keep recording along. Fine, kid. Just gotta get the wrong tool for the job here. These are Torx bolts, not Allen heads, so if you do what I'm doing, then that's at your own risk. These aren't tightened down like incredibly or nothing, so I think I'm gonna get by with what I'm doing right here, but I wouldn't advise you to use an Allen use a Torx and an Allen bolt. It's a good way to strip it out. Right there, it's in there. I'd say it's already tight enough, but I'm gonna keep going until I strip something, because I just don't know how else to begin life. Yeah, that one's a lot looser than the other ones. So let's see if we can't break that off in the transmission. Alright, so I got my seal on my pan, and I don't know if you can tell it or not, but I actually cleaned the bolts. So make sure your mating surface is all clean and all that stuff, or you know it's going to ooze transmission fluid out later. It's got these bolts with these little brackets that are to try to hold the pan in correctly, and they're just a pain. Well, so far I've gotten one of them things in. And I'll go up here to the other side of the pan and put another one in so I know it's lined up sure. You don't want to bend these bolts because they definitely will if you're not careful. Thankfully, I had 2 sets to choose my bolts from since I have a donor transmission that had bolts, and those were nicer shaped than the ones on that was on the transmission that's on here. So they pretty much just need a little bit of idiot spray to clean them up. But if they're locking up and don't want to move freely in that little bracket that they're in, then you need to clean. Started by hand. Let's see. Make sure not to cross thread on. You know what happens when you do that. The bracket must turn with the bolt instead of staying straight. I'll come back to it in a minute. Let's keep making progress. Kitten got back on me a minute ago, or just as soon as I laid down. Well, that one just started binding up. I must have cross-threaded it or something. It's not the right one for that one. I thought the corners are the same, but maybe I'm going to find out otherwise. That was wanting to be a pain for some reason. Let's move on, come back to it. Oh, it's because the pan's not on all the way right. So let's loosen him up some. Thought things was going too good there first, huh? This is definitely easier to do without the cross members in. I think I got it. Nope. They're just putting holes in the pan for the bolts to go through like on most everything else. I'm not sure why they're sitting getting started in the hole. Alright, now that I got them in, I'll show you a little better. There's a bolt right there. There's a bolt right there. There's a bolt right there. Well, oh, there's a kitty right there. Another bolt there. Another bolt there. And last bolt there. So I got them all in and finally, and I got about everything on the front end of this now hooked up. I just gotta focus on getting the rear drive shaft in. But first gotta get this brake drum on and hook up, then I can hook up the rear drive shaft. I'm gonna try to get some fluid in it because I want to start this up and make sure that it even works at all. Some fluid in this transmission. I'm going to start it up, get the fluid pump around it a little bit, and then I'm going to fill the transmission all the way with fluid. Oh yeah, they're still flashing. Whoa. What come out of there? Oh, my socket wrench that's stuck on the engine. That's smart. I knew I'd forget that on the end of that crank. At least it didn't start.
Serpentine belt's off too. Hey, look, the transmission lights quit flashing.
Cool. I've put about 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons maybe, of that stuff in there, that red juice. Hooked up the serpentine belt back up. Now I'm going to start this thing and let it warm up for a little bit. If you remember just a minute ago when I showed you starting it, the limp mode lights for the transmission or whatever quit flashing. And hopefully they still continue not to flash.
So I'm gonna let that get warm for a minute. I'll be back.
Alright, I've let it run like 15 or 20 minutes. Sorry, can't hardly see too well, but anyway, the gauge is right up the middle on the temperature there. Turn the lights on, you can see a little better. Maybe. Anyway, not leaking anything yet. I'm going to top off the fluid and hook the rear drive shaft up, and hopefully I'm doing a test drive next. Exciting. Alright, got the drive shaft under it now finally. Everything's sort of hooked up. Moment of truth. Yeah. it does move forward and backwards, at least reverse and first anyway. This is another day. I got the drive shafts all hooked up, brake drum. I don't have all the nuts holding on that drive shaft either. I only tightened down one of them. And over here I got one that's still loose. I don't know if you can quite tell it or not. I can see it, but you look right there. Way back here. See? Didn't tighten him all the way up. But I gotta remove the old transmission cooler lines. And I think laying over here I've got the cross members that go on this thing. Yeah, they're laying right here in this pile. Hopefully they've rusted through by now. Anyway, I gotta put this stuff on there. I guess fit this exhaust back on there. I don't know what I don't do exhaust work. And I guess I'm gonna put something together on this because it is terrible. Before I used some flex. Somebody had cut the catalytic converters off of this thing, which was not me. I don't just cut them off a vehicle unless I'm scrapping it. So I just put some flex hose on there to pass through. I'm also going to do some adjusting here to how I got this fit on here, because I know that this is just going to blow off. I'm not as stupid as I look. So I'm going to find something else to cobble that together with for sure. I know this is a tiny winch, but it's big enough for this. I'm going to bolt it down to the winch bar here I've got going on. And do a couple other things that I'm not going to bother recording on video. And hopefully I can take this thing on the road today and get some better tires to load on it that I have sitting in the back. I'm not worried about getting the inside of this together right now. Just need to be able to move this and drive it. Don't really have to drive it anywhere, it just needs to be driving. So I'm about there with all that. I definitely will be making other videos on the work I do on this Land Rover. But this really isn't like a complete repair. It's just cobbling it together and band-aiding it together so it can move under its own power. Alright, I'm going to take a quick test drive. Alright, so I got my Land Rover running again. It's in 4th gear. At least it felt like it. These tires are scary. I'm going to turn around here in just a second because I'm afraid to drive it any farther, but I had to. I was curious if it worked at all. But I got it in drive and it's just rolling. Yeah, it feels like it went to 4th. test drive went alright, except for the fact that I couldn't put it in drive. I had to shift manually through the gears, but I'm thinking that there's something wrong with the neutral safety gear selector switch thing. This is the one that came off the transmission that I put in it, and it was separating, and I couldn't get it to go in park, so I just took it off and put the one that was on that fired up transmission on there. So there's a high likelihood that it's been melded on the inside or something. You couldn't see anything going on the outside of it, but who knows. And then another thing I did is invested in a BB gun for stress relief, and it ricocheted and popped this window a couple months ago. I didn't figure it out until later. And this thing here, a lot of the plastics are cracking and giving up. Most of the plastics. Hopefully I can find me a vehicle at a junkyard that's got some better cosmetic pieces to go on the outside. If that's how it is today, it's like May 9th or something like that. I'll stick me some Jesus stickers on the back of it. Had to wash the windshield off before I could go for a drive. I'm not sure if I mentioned that or not, but that was filthy, like this hood, you couldn't even see out of it. And for some reason the tire's holding air now. It wouldn't hold air overnight before I drove it, but now that I've drove it, it's holding air. I guess it'd come off the rim or something there a little bit and needs to be reseated. It doesn't look too bad from this side, but these tires are so dry rotted. The insides of the tire walls are terrible for dry rot. Let me sit here where it looks like a belt's letting go. So, we'll get some tires put on here next. I got some used ones in the back I got right up behind this. So, I'm going to roll down the road and have them put on and have that trailer tire done. I heard a cat. Yeah, she's over there. I thought she was inside at first. But that's where it is today. Seems to be working for now. Anyway, the patio finally straightened up a little bit. Here's except for it's not so clean there. Still got the transfer case to go through as well. I just haven't gotten to it yet, but I will. And the transmission's sitting there. I haven't finished disassembling that yet either. What's up, Mama Cat? Yeah. We only have 2 of the kittens now. So thanks for watching, my friends and viewers and even my enemies. I love y'all. Y'all are most dear to me. It's all that matters in life's people. It's not junk. If I can help you, there's the comment section below. As always, I want to praise my Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. May He richly bless and guide you and your families. Guide us on home to glory.